What's up, everybody? I'm getting back into the reviews, and today we are finally looking at the Gravity Beam King Ghidorah from Hiya Toys. It feels weird standing in this room saying it because the last time I filmed the regular Ghidorah from Hiya Toys, this was a week before I left for Thailand. And now it is almost the end of September, and I'm finally doing it. I was kind of right in my prediction. I was probably going to get it around this time, and you know what? I did. And so, I finally have some time that I've freed up to get in and review this thing, because I know some of you are excited to see that comparison between this one and the regular one. That being said, let us not waste any more time, and let's dive straight into it, starting with the box here. So obviously, like the regular Ghidorah, this is a massive box, so I did have to do some major adjusting to the camera to make sure it accommodates the big box. It's the same size as the other one, but of course with this new version, the artwork looks significantly better than the old one, that's for sure. You have this beautiful volcanic background for Ghidorah to stand on top and blast the gravity beams. It's actually pretty artistic, and I gotta give Hiya props to these new art for the boxes. They've been absolutely nailing it, so props to Hiya for doing that. And so, we got the big King Ghidorah font here. We've also got the movie logo right there. It is not as big as the SH Monster Arts Ghidorah box, but still relatively big. It's almost the size of a PS5 box, but a lot thinner, if that makes any sense. And we got some Monsterverse logo, Hiya logo, that text, and then you can see the art is pretty big, that his wing kind of stretches out to the top, which you can see the movie logo there as well. And on the side, you can see, yeah, the wing also stretches out there. It's pretty massive, might I say. And then on this side of the box, it's just, you know, more of the volcanic background, volcanic ash. And then the bottom here, you know, just the movie logo. So you ain't missing much there. But the back is where it's at. You have some of the stuff in Chinese this time. And we have some of the socials for Hiya. And another beautiful shot of Ghidorah. Looks like he's like arguing with them. The heads are arguing with themselves. Kevin is just there chilling. That's pretty funny. So, that being said, that is it for the box. Very excited to get into this one. I mean, I have the original Ghidorah sitting behind the camera right now. And so, once I unbox this, we will do a proper comparison. So, let's crack this bad boy open. Will the unboxing process be just as hard as the original Ghidorah? Because that took me a while to do, so let's see how long this one will take. Alright, next up. I actually got some comments saying I shouldn't open the stands. Some people don't open the stands apparently, but Ghidorah's a heavy boy, so I kind of do need the stands because, yeah, he's gonna topple over. So I'm gonna have to open this, so sorry guys. Next up, we have the gravity beams. So let's get this one open. This is the real deal. This is gonna be why people are gonna want to buy this figure. So let's crack this open. Oh, and these are hard plastic too. These ain't those flimsy rubber plastic. This is proper hard, good quality plastic. Okay, then we gotta take out these bases. Finally, the instruction booklet. First and foremost, let us show you the instruction sheet first. So here's one side, it's just teaching you how to put the tails together, and then how to detach the wings, and how to reassemble the wings. You know, we'll show you that in a second on the actual figure. On this side, it actually shows you how to put the gravity beams themselves into King Ghidorah's mouths. And I'll show you that in a second. And then finally, it shows you how to assemble the stands to prop him up. So that is basically the instruction sheet. If you want to look at these in excruciating detail, then pause the video to do so. I remember why the original one took me so long to film now, because this took me almost an hour to set up. Definitely think that one thing that they have not improved on in terms of, you know, this one versus the regular one is obviously the godforsaken time it takes to set this thing up. But you can't really blame him for it. It's just in Ghidorah's character. He is a massive three-headed dragon, so it is what it is. But that being said, let's review this thing, shall we? I just want to dive straight into the new feature that this version has compared to the original one, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be the driving point of people wanting to buy this figure is the gravity beams. For the first time, we have a Ghidorah that actually comes with the stuff that he can shoot out of his mouth, which is great. Because Ghidorah has always lacked accessories, and you know, for the same price as the regular one, you're pretty much getting extras, which is pretty solid. And you know, it gives, you know, stop motion people a better way to make the gravity beam rather than customizing it by themselves. I will say they are quite heavy pieces. They look great and they attach well because you need the tongue to be the peg in a way to keep this thing intact, but it's still not the most secure. It will easily come off like this, as you can see. So let me quickly show you what the gravity beam itself looks like. So you can see it's just this yellow transparent piece, transparent stick pretty much, and the coloring is also pretty well. That I think is something that doesn't need to be dropped, but it is the transparency that makes it count, because you allow light to pass through it, and definitely in dark settings, it's not going to glow in the dark, but it will, you know, kind of have light shine through it. It's pretty visually appealing in a way. So, of course, it comes with 3, 1 per head. So, because, like I said, these are not the most secure, I'm gonna just take them off, but the way you attach them, so you can see, there is supposed to be a hole right here. And the idea is you line that hole with the tongue. That is how you secure it in, similar to how you do get Godzilla's atomic breath. Has this been a major improvement? Well, I can tell you right off the get-go, this is the exact same mold as the regular one. So, meaning the articulation is gonna be the same. You can see the necks down here are more shiny gold. They really stand out, you know, very scaly, very serpent-like. The weight is very unevenly distributed. So it's the same as the regular one. You're gonna need the stands to hold this guy up. And of course the wings can be pulled down into a rest position. Right now I have them, you know, fully spread out in flight mode, if you will. But now that we look at it from the back, you can see a lot of the gold is just one color. You know, for the original one, you kind of have this dark spot, almost brown color going through his back. Here, it's just all gold. Completely gold. You can see from the back of his necks to the body to the tails, sorry, it is one consistent color scheme. At the tip of his tails, you know, the gold kind of changes for the spikes at the end of his tails. That's good in my opinion, you know, it's good contrast. And then as for the wings themselves, it's shinier gold from the back here, as you can see. But once you rotate it and look at the front, it's also gold as well, but it's a little bit darker as well. So that's one side, that's the other side. That is pretty much, it's just pretty much one color scheme that they're sticking with. Is that really a big problem? Not really, because I like consistency. So I think to keep this one color scheme keeps the, you know, the theme going, so it doesn't look messy. And Playmates has kind of made that mistake with some of the play sets, because they put way too much colors on the Godzilla and Kongs, and it just looks so messy in the colors. And so keeping this just gold definitely has the advantage in terms of just making it look unified. Now, as I mentioned, this is the exact same mold as the original one, so your articulation is going to be the same. Starting off with the heads here, you know, it's very serpent-like, so of course each heads have their own individual movements here. We got Kevin right here. We got these two, which I can for my life remember the names of. I just remember Kevin, but they all have ball socket articulation, so they can all move on their own accord. Very nice. And of course, with the additional gravity beams, you're gonna have more, you know, characteristics and more emotions you can show, which is pretty nice. Also, I like to mention for the texture, you know, it has very that scaly texture, but it also has that spiky texture. You can see it's, again, the same as the original Ghidorah, but it has a lot of like that scaliness, and it really stands out with the colors. They really emphasize on it, so I think it's executed pretty well. Now, at the bottom here, you can really see the bottom of the tail, the gold really stands out here. And then at the feet, you have the claws, different bits of color. But as I show you the articulation for the necks, obviously there's also articulation with the feet here as well. Now you can twist it, the ankles, move the knees a little bit, vice versa, same on this one. So, you know, pretty firm. Obviously it's still fresh out of the box, so that's to be expected. And then with the tail articulation, you know, ball sockets as well. So you got ball socket here, ball socket here. It's pretty much the same. Again, same mold, same exact mold. But of course, I've said this with the regular Ghidorah, the greatest difference that Hiya's Ghidorah has compared to SH Monster Arts is of course the wings have their own articulation, which is great because the SH Monster Arts Ghidorah is just two big pieces of wings that are not even retractable. So it just becomes a major inconvenience, no articulation, and a big occupation of space. Now, this one still does take up a lot of space. When I got the regular Ghidorah, I had to order a separate big storage box just to store it in. Even the wings down, it took up a lot of room. Let's actually put the wings in rest position now. So, of course, to do that, each flap has their own connection point, and that allows the wing to be retractable. So let's pull it off. There you go. I don't know how much you actually saw it. I mean, my arm was kind of in the way. I really didn't expect much, because obviously this is quite literally the same as the other Hiya Ghidorah, but I'm here for the gravity beams, of course, and the colors. But in its rest position, ground position, call it what you will, he still looks pretty good. You know, when you see the back of his wings like that, you can still see the gold, you can see the scaliness of the wings. I think it stands out very well, so not bad. And here is the almighty comparison. Look, I don't have all the space, the table is quite small, and you know, Ghidorah is quite big, so this is the best you're gonna get. You can clearly tell that both of them have very distinctive differences in the coloring. The original, as you can see, is far darker, more on the brown side, so it's more like when you see him at night fighting in Boston. This is the type of look you'll see if Ghidorah is standing in broad daylight and the sun is just reflecting off him. If I had to say which one was better, well, obviously I'm going to say that the new one here, because it's definitely like an improvement. They've taken some lessons they've learned from this original one and then applied it to the new Ghidorah here. This more gold version of Ghidorah. In my opinion, I do think both have their own strengths and weaknesses, but they both have something in common, which is they are massive figures, and they take a huge chunk of your time to assemble. Overall, you know, this is a great value for sure. The SH Monster Arts Ghidorah is obviously very, very expensive, and it's not as articulated as this one, as some of you may know. This Ghidorah definitely has the visual wow factor in terms of the presentation, but it also has the necessary playability it requires. You know, it has the playability of a toy. That being said, it's not the most manageable figure because obviously this thing is incredibly unbalanced. It'll just keep toppling over unless you have the stands to prop it up or have the wings folded up in, you know, his landed position. But definitely, in my opinion, this has definitely been a major improvement from the first Hiya Ghidorah. I like the gold color a lot more, you know. The original one is more darker, dustier gold in a way. This is like really like royalty shiny gold that they went for this Ghidorah. So I think the color scheme is definitely, it feels more like Ghidorah with this color scheme. And of course, the biggest feature of them all is of course the gravity beams. Each head gets its own gravity beam, so obviously if the tongue is also stuck in the mouth if you get this figure and you have trouble with the mouth because you need to stick the gravity beam in, well, my solution is use a toothpick and try to like get the tongue out. It acts as the plug for the gravity beam for it to actually stay in his mouth. You know, the articulation is pretty much the same as the original one. You know, it's the same mold pretty much, so nothing new there. And that's pretty much it. Overall, for the price you pay, which is around 150 Canadian dollars, this is definitely cutting the cost of the SH Monster Arts Ghidorah by half, maybe more than half. Ghidorah wise, this is definitely a way cheaper option to get a semi-decent looking Ghidorah. Like, Hiya has been cooking with their designs, and you know, I'm very excited to see the Shima when I finally get my hands on it, but the Ghidorahs have me impressed, and I thought the SH Monster Art was peak of the Ghidorahs, but I was wrong. It was quite the opposite. It is really Hiya Toys. Unfortunately, the only complaint I have is, of course, the incredible inconvenience it takes to set this thing up. It just took so much of my time, and I had the same problem with the original Ghidorah and when I first got into it. Overall, this is a great new release. It's not a re-release. It's a new release because it's a brand new version of the character. So I think Hiya is doing good, and I think this is where they should stop. Don't make more Ghidorahs because goddamn, these are taking so long to set up, and I kind of don't want to buy another Ghidorah again. But out of 10, I'm gonna give this one a solid 8 out of 10. A very good improvement in my opinion. So, if you want to check out the review I did for the regular Hiya Ghidorah, of course it will be available at the end of this video, or click the cards right now or the link in the description, which will take you straight to that review in which I compare this Hiya Ghidorah to, of course, the SH Monster Arts Ghidorah. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and especially with the time I took to get this thing unboxed, please give this video a like. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.